The galaxy had reached its limit, not of resources, but of courage. In the Great Council chamber, hundreds of species watched the stars on a silent map. A small cluster of worlds blinked in red. Those worlds belonged to a weak, peaceful species. They had no great fleets, no powerful weapons, only hope that someone would help. The enemy was coming. Everyone knew it. The council vote was short, cold, and final. The sector was declared lost. All fleets were ordered to retreat. All aid was canceled. No rescues, no delays. The galaxy abandoned them. On those distant worlds, cities were still alive. Children still played. Families still believed help would arrive. They did not know the truth yet. Human observers sat quietly during the vote. They listened. They watched. They said nothing. When the final order was broadcast, every allied fleet turned away. Jump drives ignited. Star lanes went dark. One by one, the galaxy disappeared. Human fleets received the same order. Withdraw immediately. Return to core systems. Do not engage. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then Earth Command asked a simple question. Are there survivors? The answer came back slow and heavy. Yes, billions. Silence filled the command room. Screens showed the red-marked worlds. Defenseless. Alone. Human leaders remembered old stories. About standing when others leave. About protecting those who cannot protect themselves. A human admiral looked at the map and said something that was never recorded. But everyone felt it. We are not leaving. Orders were sent across human space. Quiet. Unannounced. No council approval. No speeches. Shipyards came alive. Old warships long kept in reserve were powered up. Crews were recalled. Engines roared. Far away, the abandoned species detected something strange. New signals appeared on their scanners. Human ship signatures. They thought it was a mistake. Then a message arrived. Simple. Clear. Stay where you are. Humanity is coming. Fear turned into disbelief. No one had ever stayed before. As human fleets moved, the galaxy watched from a distance. Confused. Nervous. Some called it madness. Others called it suicide. Enemy forces were already gathering. Vast and dark. Countless ships blocking the stars. Human scouts saw the size of the threat and still did not turn back. In the first 10 minutes of contact, human ships formed a defensive line. They did not charge. They did not flee. They stood between the enemy and the abandoned worlds. The enemy hesitated. They had not expected resistance. Human ships opened fire. Not in rage, but with precision. The first battle was small, but violent. Human tactics were different. They protected evacuation routes. They shielded cities from orbital strikes. They took damage meant for others. News spread across the galaxy. Humans are fighting. Humans are dying. For someone else. On the abandoned worlds, people watched the sky burn. But human ships remained. Some human vessels were lost. Their crews gone. But the line did not break. Back in the council chamber, panic began. This was not planned. This was not approved. Messages were sent to Earth. Stand down. Withdraw. This war is not yours. Earth sent only one reply. We decide who we fight for. As hours turned into days, human fleets kept arriving. Not just soldiers, but medical ships, supply carriers, evacuation transports. Children were lifted from doomed cities. Families were moved under human shields. The enemy grew angry. They called for reinforcements. They promised annihilation. Human commanders listened and prepared. A human captain looked out at the burning stars and spoke quietly to the crew. We stay. Far away, the galaxy realized something had changed. This was no longer a lost sector. This was a line, and humanity was standing on it. The galaxy watched from a distance, not with pride, but with fear. Human ships had not withdrawn. They had multiplied. What began as a single defensive line slowly became a wall. More jump signatures appeared every hour. Frigates, cruisers, carriers, and heavy warships. Human space was emptying itself into the abandoned sector. The abandoned species watched in silence. They had prepared for extinction, not salvation. On their homeworld, leaders gathered in underground shelters. Screens showed human ships burning in orbit, taking hits meant for their cities. Every explosion felt personal. They asked a question no one had ever asked before. Why would humans do this? No answer came. On the front lines, human commanders studied enemy movements. The enemy fleet was vast, ancient, patient. They were not rushing. They were surrounding. Human sensors showed massive power signatures forming beyond the system edge. Something big was coming. Earth Command received the data and did not order retreat. Instead, new orders were issued. Hold the line at all costs. Evacuate as many as possible. Human Marines landed on abandoned worlds. They moved through burning streets, carrying the wounded, shielding civilians. For the first time, the abandoned species saw humans up close, not as distant traitors, but as protectors. They saw humans bleed. They saw humans fall. And they saw humans stand back up. Enemy forces tested the human line. Probing attacks, fast strikes, sudden ambushes. Human ships adapted quickly. They fought defensively, using formations the galaxy had never used. Layered shields, rotating fire, sacrifice maneuvers. Every hour bought more lives. But the cost was growing. Human ships began to disappear from the tactical map. One by one, names went dark. News reached Earth. Losses are heavy. Earth replied, continue. Back in the council chamber, panic spread. This war was no longer distant. If humanity fell, the enemy would grow stronger. Some species argued to send help. Others argued to seal borders. In the end, no one moved. Humanity stood alone. Deep in human space, something else awakened. Old shipyards that had not opened in generations. Vaults sealed by history. Fleets built for wars humanity hoped would never return. Admirals with gray hair and long memories were recalled. Their eyes hardened as they saw the battlefield. They recognized the enemy, and they knew what came next. On the front lines, the enemy finally revealed its intent. A massive advance. Thousands of ships pushing forward at once. The stars went dark under their shadow. Human commanders saw the wave coming and knew the line would break. Unless something changed, a human admiral opened a private channel. To every ship in the sector, this is not about winning. This is about holding. Human crews listened, some afraid, some calm, none leaving. The abandoned species listened too, and understood. Humans were not fighting for victory. They were fighting for time. Enemy weapons lit the void. The largest battle so far erupted. Human ships burned. Shields failed. Hulls cracked, but still they did not retreat. Evacuation transports slipped past the chaos. Millions were saved, then millions more. The enemy realized the truth. Humans were buying lives with their own. Rage followed. Enemy flagships entered the fight. Weapons strong enough to break moons. The human line bent. A human carrier exploded. Then another. Signal screamed. Medical ships were overwhelmed. And then a new signal appeared. Unknown, massive, human. Far beyond the battlefield, space itself rippled. Like water struck by something huge. Enemy sensors spiked. Panic flashed through their ranks. The galaxy detected it too. A fleet signature unlike anything recorded. Human commanders looked up from their screens and smiled for the first time. A single message echoed across all channels. Human and enemy alike. This is humanity going all in. Space tore open, and something ancient began to arrive. Space itself seemed afraid. The ripples grew wider, deeper, like the universe was being pulled apart. Enemy fleets slowed. Their advance faltered. Sensors failed. Command lines broke. No one understood what was arriving. Then the first shape emerged. It was not fast. It was not elegant. It was enormous. An ancient human warship slid into real space. Its hull dark and scarred, covered in layered armor thicker than most stations. Engines burned a deep coal blue. Steady, unstoppable. Behind it came another, then another. Not dozens, not hundreds, thousands. The ancient human fleet arrived without sound, without warning, without fear. The galaxy watched in shock. Records lit up across every system. These ships were not new. They were legends. designs hidden from public history. Built for wars humanity promised never to fight again. Enemy commanders finally understood. Humans had not been holding back. They had been waiting. Human channels activated. Old voices filled the void. Calm, experienced, dangerous. This sector is now under human protection. Enemy fleets responded with immediate fire. They had numbers. They had confidence. They believed numbers would still win. They were wrong. Human superweapons activated. Not explosive, not loud, but precise. Enemy ships vanished. Not destroyed. Erased. Formations broke. Entire wings went silent. The abandoned species watched the sky change color. Where there was once darkness, there was now light. Human light. Hope returned. Human fleets advanced slowly, methodically. Shield walls forming moving fortresses. Fighter squadrons launched in waves, cutting supply lines, isolating enemy flagships. This was not chaos. This was control. The enemy tried to retreat, but humanity closed the exits. Human commanders spoke quietly, as if this battle was familiar. Hold formation. Do not chase. Protect the civilians first. Evacuation continued under the shield of the ancient fleet. The last cities were emptied. The last transports lifted off. The abandoned worlds were no longer helpless. They were defended. Enemy desperation grew. They unleashed weapons forbidden by galactic law. Planet killers. Star breakers. Human ships moved to intercept, taking the blasts head-on. Some were lost, but none broke formation. The galaxy listened in silence. This was not a war. This was a lesson. A lesson humanity was teaching with patience. On one human flagship, a young officer asked a question. Why were these ships hidden? The old admiral answered slowly. Because once we use them, there is no going back. The enemy made one final attempt. A concentrated strike, aimed directly at the human command core. It nearly succeeded. Human defenses strained. Alarms screamed. Power dropped. Then the abandoned species did something unexpected. Their small remaining ships launched. Not to fight, but to shield. They placed themselves between the enemy and the humans. They remembered who stayed. Human commanders froze for a heartbeat, then gave a new order. Protect them. Human fleets surged forward. Angrier now. Faster. Deadlier. The enemy line shattered. What remained scattered into deep space. Fleeing. Broken. The battle was over. But the war was not. The galaxy sent messages. Questions. Apologies. Humanity did not answer. Instead, a single broadcast went out. To every system. Every council chamber. We fight for those who are left behind. Deep space fell silent. And in that silence, the galaxy realized something terrifying. Humanity had chosen a side, and it would not stop here. The battlefield grew quiet, but it was not peace. Wreckage drifted between the stars, burning fragments of ships from both sides. The ancient human fleet held position, silent, watchful. The abandoned worlds below were empty now. Cities dark, skies calm. Millions had escaped, but the price had been paid in blood. Human commanders studied long-range scans. The enemy was not gone. They were regrouping. Deep beyond the system edge, new signals appeared. Larger, denser, angrier. The enemy had learned, and they were adapting. On human ships, crews worked without rest. Repairing armor, rerouting power, carrying the wounded. Hallways were quiet. Faces tired, but resolve unbroken. Names of the fallen were transmitted to Earth. The list was long. Earth did not respond with orders, only with permission. Permission to continue. Among the ancient fleet, old admirals gathered in secure channels. They spoke of history, of wars humanity never shared, of enemies erased from memory. This enemy was different. They did not fear loss. They did not value life. They would not stop. On one damaged cruiser, a human medic held the hand of an abandoned species child. The child asked a question through translation software. Will they come back? The medic answered honestly. Yes. The child asked another. Will you leave? The medic did not hesitate. No. Word spread quickly across the refugee transports. Humans were staying. Even now, even after victory, that truth changed something. For the first time, the abandoned species began to prepare to fight back. Not with weapons, but with support, guidance, intelligence. They showed humans hidden routes, old tunnels through space, ancient gravity wells, places the enemy could use. Human commanders listened carefully. The enemy strike came without warning. Hundreds of ships emerged from hyperspace inside the outer defense ring. A tactic no one expected. Alarms screamed. Formations broke. Panic flickered. Enemy weapons targeted medical ships. Refugee transports. The unarmed. Human response was immediate. Ancient warships rotated, placing their hulls between danger and the helpless. Shields flared. Armor cracked. One human dreadnought took a direct hit meant for a transport. Its engines failed. It began to drift. Enemy ships swarmed it. The crew did not abandon ship. They rerouted power, locked bulkheads, turned the drifting hull into a weapon. The dreadnought detonated, taking dozens of enemy ships with it. Silence followed. That moment reached the galaxy. Every system, every screen. Humanity was not just defending. They were sacrificing. Anger spread through human fleets. Controlled, focused, new orders were given. No more holding. The ancient fleet advanced. Human weapons changed frequency, range, purpose. This phase of the war was different. Enemy command ships were targeted. Leaders removed. Coordination shattered. The enemy reacted with brutality, destroying their own damaged vessels, denying humanity any advantage. It did not help. Human marines boarded enemy carriers, fighting in dark corridors, hand to hand, room by room. They found something disturbing. The enemy did not retreat because they feared loss. They retreated because something else was coming. Human intelligence pieced it together slowly. This was not the main force. This was a shield, a delaying action. Deep space sensors detected it at last. A shadow so large it bent gravity. A moving fortress. Alive. The enemy god engine. Records from extinct civilizations surfaced. Warnings buried by time. This enemy did not conquer alone. It brought extinction with it. Human commanders stared at the data, knowing what it meant. This war was no longer about one species or one sector. It was about survival. Earth was informed. For the first time since the ancient fleet was activated, the response was short. Then we end here. The abandoned species listened as humans prepared for something final. They saw ships rearrange, power levels spike, weapons awaken that had never been tested. They realized humans were afraid, but they were not backing down. The enemy god engine began to move closer. Slow, inevitable. Every species in the galaxy felt it. Stars dimmed. Communications flickered. Panic spread. Belated calls for unity echoed. Humanity did not answer. Humanity prepared. A human admiral addressed the fleet. His voice calm. Steady. This is where we stand. If it passes us, nothing survives. Ships locked into formation. Ancient and new. Damaged and whole. The abandoned species ships joined the line. Small. Fragile. Brave. The enemy god engine crossed the threshold into the system. Space screamed, and humanity did not move back. They moved forward. The enemy god engine filled the stars. It was not a ship. It was a moving city of weapons. Layers of armor wrapped around a core of living machinery. Its presence crushed signals, bent gravity, and made every human sensor scream. Even the ancient fleet paused, not in fear, but in calculation. Human commanders understood the truth. This was not a battle that could be won by numbers or tactics alone. This was a test of endurance. The god engine advanced slowly, as if confident nothing could stop it. Enemy fleets gathered around it like insects around flame. The galaxy watched again, frozen, silent, praying. Human fleets tightened formation. Shields overlapped. Power was rerouted from engines to weapons. Every ship knew its role. Some would not return. A human admiral opened a channel. Fleet-wide. Clear. Humanity has reached the line we never wanted to cross. But today we cross it together. Deep inside, the ancient warships' sealed compartments opened. Systems older than most civilizations came online. Weapons never shared with the galaxy. Never tested in open war. The abandoned species felt it. A pressure in their bones. A hum through their ships. They asked quietly, "What is that?" A human officer answered, "Our last promise." The God engine fired first. A beam of pure collapse energy tore through space. It erased 3 human cruisers instantly. No explosion, no debris, just absence. The human line shook, but did not break. Human superweapons answered. Space folded. Reality twisted. Entire sections of the enemy escort fleet vanished. Still the God engine advanced. It adapted, redirected, absorbed damage. Human losses increased. Medical ships overflowed. Command crews were replaced by automated systems as humans fell. Earth watched everything and made a decision. A code was transmitted. One time, irrevocable. The ancient fleet acknowledged. Human ships began changing configuration, forming strange patterns. Not defensive, not offensive, sacrificial. The abandoned species realized the truth. These ships were not meant to survive. They tried to speak, to beg, to stop it. Humans answered gently. This is why we stayed. The God engine fired again. Closer now. Stronger. Human ships moved into its path. One by one. Absorbing the blow. Shielding the fleet behind them. A human battleship split in half. Still firing. Until the last second. Another rammed directly into an enemy carrier. Destroying both. The galaxy cried out. This was madness. But then something changed. The God engine slowed. Human analysis confirmed it. The thing could adapt to weapons, but not to loss. Every sacrifice weakened it. Every human ship destroyed tore something vital from its core. Human commanders saw the opening and did not hesitate. All fleets advance. The ancient fleet surged forward, ignoring damage, ignoring fear. Human weapons targeted the God engine core. Again and again, the abandoned species joined the attack. Their small ships striking weak points humans revealed. Together, the God engine screamed, a sound that shook stars. Enemy fleets panicked. Command structures collapsed. Retreats turned into collisions. The God engine tried to withdraw. Human ships locked onto it. Gravity anchors engaged, holding it in place. The cost was enormous. Entire human squadrons went silent. But the hold remained. Earth sent one final message. Not an order, but a reminder. Humanity is strongest when it stands for others. The ancient flagship moved to the front. Its captain old, his hands steady. He gave the final command. Fire everything. The galaxy went white. When vision returned, the God engine was broken, split open, burning. Its core collapsed inward, taking enemy fleets with it. Space began to heal. Slowly, silence returned. Human fleets drifted, damaged, reduced, but alive. The abandoned species watched the impossible. Their destroyer, their nightmare, gone. Victory came without celebration. Too many names were missing. The galaxy began sending messages. Apologies, gratitude, fear. Humanity did not answer. Human ships turned back toward the abandoned worlds. To rebuild, to stay. As one human officer said quietly, we did not fight to be thanked. We fought because someone needed us. And the galaxy understood at last. Humanity had not chosen war. Humanity had chosen loyalty. The stars looked different after the war. Not brighter, not darker, just quieter. Wreckage still drifted across the system. Silent reminders of what it had cost. Human ships moved slowly now. Damaged hulls patched. Crews exhausted, but still standing watch. The abandoned worlds below were alive again. Lights returned to cities. At first dim, then growing stronger each day. Human transports continued to arrive. Not with soldiers, but with builders, engineers, doctors, teachers. Humanity stayed. The galaxy waited, nervous, ashamed. Council chambers filled with voices begging to be heard. Apologies were drafted, alliances rewritten, history edited, but no reply came. On the surface of the first restored world, humans walked among the survivors. Not as conquerors, not as heroes, just as neighbors. Children followed human soldiers, laughing, asking questions, touching armor scarred by battle. A small memorial was raised near the spaceport. No flags, no speeches, only names, human names, and names of those they protected. The abandoned species gathered there every day. They did not understand all human customs, but they understood this. Humanity had paid in blood. A human admiral stood before the memorial one evening. Alone, he looked tired, older. A representative of the abandoned species approached him. Carefully, they asked a question that had waited since the first battle. Why did you stay? The admiral did not answer at first. He looked at the stars, at the empty places where ships once were. Then he spoke. Because if we left, we would not be human anymore. The word spread, quietly, across the worlds. Deep in space, the galaxy finally gathered the courage to speak. A unified transmission, broadcast everywhere. It acknowledged the truth. That fear had ruled them. That humanity had stood when no one else would. It offered protection, resources, authority. Humanity listened and declined. Instead, a different message was sent. Short, simple. We will not rule you. We will not forgive you today, but we will not abandon you tomorrow. The galaxy did not know how to respond. Some species wept. Some feared, some felt relief, because they understood something new. Humanity did not seek control. Humanity sought responsibility. Months passed. Rebuilding continued. Trade slowly returned. But something had changed forever. Maps were redrawn, not to mark human territory, but to mark human presence. Places where humanity had stood and refused to move. Young species began to tell new stories. Not about powerful empires, but about a time when the galaxy failed, and one species did not. Enemy remnants were hunted quietly, efficiently, without cruelty. Human fleets never boasted, never paraded their strength. They simply stayed ready. On Earth, memorials rose. Not grand, not loud. Families visited them, touched names, and went home. The losses were heavy, but no one said they were wasted, because somewhere out there, entire civilizations still lived. One final council was held, this time without votes, without commands. Human representatives stood at the center. A council elder spoke with shaking voice. If the galaxy ever faces extinction again, will humanity stand with us? The answer came after a pause. We already did. Silence followed, not empty, but full. The galaxy finally understood the warning it had ignored. Never ask humanity why they fight. Ask who they are protecting. Because when humanity decides to stand, they do not move, and the universe remembers. This was the day the galaxy abandoned them, and the day humanity chose everyone else.